Apparently. Yep. Apparently it's time to get going again. It's Wednesday. It is Mornings in the Lab with Keith, John, Marty, and producer Flynn. There we go. Yes, it is. What's going on, man? Today is the day we are going to break free from expectations. Our series this week about dealing with men's insecurities and how we're feeling about ourselves and how we're tackling the day. Conversations you will not find anywhere else on the planet, right here on Mornings in the Lab with myself, CMartyFit, Jon Andersen, and of course, producer Christina Flynn. We go live at 8 o'clock Eastern time every single day, Monday to Friday here in the lab. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we got Adam House with the Brick of the Week, a brand new weekly segment. And of course, we got the accountability check-in. We have the C-Fit tip of the day. We have the lifestyle tip with Jon Andersen and the creator spotlight at the top of the hour. And that's what we got going on the show today as I bring my crew in here this morning. What's going on, Johnny? Let's bring in Tina as well. Marty, what's going on there, team? How are you guys today?
Good morning.
Amazing.
Rocking and rolling.
We are rocking and rolling here today on a Wednesday. It's rest recovery day for me. How's everybody today? I know, John, you've been just getting back into the saddle after your adventure with the Bears. And do we got any Bears stories today here on the Wednesday? Is Uncle okay up there at the cabin there, John?
You know, I'll be honest. Uncle tried to blame me for drinking his gin, so I've been shunning his texts. And I was like, "Come on, dude! I don't even drink. You're trying to pin alcohol being gone on me. Come on, you know."
Uncle doesn't.
Maybe Christina took it to the wedding and she drank it.
There we go.
I love gin. I love it.
There we go.
That's it. All right. So here's the good news this morning. We're starting the show off with a great conversation. So a couple weeks ago, team, we invited somebody to join our team, Christina Flynn, and we have been actively working on building the business side of things here in the lab. And as you do that, and boys, and as you build companies and build systems, you need to put scalability and structure in place. So it dawned on me over the last couple of days, and it dawned on me over the last week, and it really dawned on me in the last 24 hours that, you know, as we are building our show and we're hanging out in the clubs and we're on our way to the arenas and the concert halls and the stadiums, we need to stay in control of this thing. We need to be the ones who are driving the conversation and driving the narrative and not allowing others to do that. So as a result, we're going to set some guardrails, Marty, Johnny, Tina, on the show here. We want to have the conversation and the comments in the feeds. I welcome all of you. But if you're going to be a dick, you're not invited.
Well, Marty, hit my button, Marty. Hit my button. Come on. Hit my button, baby.
Smack. You know you're on the right track.
So talk all the smack you want and have all the fun smack you want. There's been some great industries created in the wrestling world around smack everywhere. We want the smack, but we want to keep it in the guardrails of fun, because we are not going to allow 1, 2, 3 people to take this whole thing off the rails, because we might sit here with a few hundred people today with a few people taking it off the rails. But as we build this thing into the vision that we have, we're certainly not going to let the trolls take things over. So I just want to set the guardrails here that we want to have the conversations, and we welcome everybody in the feeds. But I don't even know if I have the patience for the 3-strike theory. If you're great, have some fun with us. If you're being a jerk, we're just going to kick you out. It's actually as simple as that, because we don't want you to wreck the fun for everybody else. And it just makes it difficult when I do posts. So there we go. Have fun, hang around, and talk smack all you want. Throw Anderson under the bus, throw Bilous under the bus, throw Marty under the bus. Heck, throw Tina under the bus. Have some fun with us. But the moment you kind of cross those lines of, just some decency, we're just going to toss you out. Marty, Johnny, comments? Tina, comments?
You need me to go on a rant?
Yep, I do. Your turn, Marty.
I'll let John go first.
Well, I think when these dudes come in and start talking all this crazy mess, I just say that when we don't acknowledge them, we put them in the nosebleed sections, whether they like it or not. And they can watch from afar, but we don't have to. That's my deal. I mean, people come and just throw turds at me all day on social media. I just don't acknowledge it.
Yes.
I don't acknowledge negativity.
Good morning.
I only acknowledge positivity in my life, and that's what makes a difference.
Good morning. Good time. And I don't disagree with you, Johnny. Here's where I had some reflecting, frankly, and Marty, before I throw it to you. So I built a career. I built a business around managing, moderating, and monitoring communities for the biggest brands in the world. And I found myself kind of being a hypocrite over the last week, where I'm inviting trolls into my brand, our brand, where I built a career on keeping trolls out of other people's brands because you wreck the public discourse. Again, we want to have conversation, you know, whether you're drinking blue water, red water, green water, or whatever it is, or, you know, we want to have all that, but we're just not going to give up the control to the trolls. Because we want to create a safe space. We want to create a safe space in the lab, but not only on the show, but in the comments, right? So we want to invite everybody here and not have idiots take over the comments and make them just a cesspool of hatred and just crap. So we're just going to start it right off the gates here, you know, before we're ending up in the stadium and we're standing on stage as Keith, John, and Marty going, okay, you 100,000 people, we're kicking 1,000 of you out. Now we're just going to start it now. So there's the rules. Marty.
Now, I was just going to say, man, for the trolls, man, you got to look at yourself in the mirror. You know, what's going on in your life that you have nothing better to do at 8 o'clock? You ain't getting ready for work. You ain't getting ready for your job. You ain't go work out. You didn't have a good time with your wife or your girlfriend or husband or boyfriend yesterday. What's going on in your life? You know, you got to look at yourself. You're really a loser, and you don't affect me. I like my life. I like who I am. You know, I built myself into who I am, so you're not going to hurt my feelings. I welcome the trolls. I'm the opposite of John. I'm going to talk shit back to you. Excuse my language, Keith. I know we just started. But maybe out of respect for Keith, I won't say anything anymore. But I welcome it. Come to my show. Come to CMartyFit show. We'll have a blast.
There you go. Christina, offer some comments on this.
Nah, I mean, like, I think we've said it all.
Yeah.
For me, I'll be honest, like, building my brand on social, it's been a real deterrent for me. Like, it's been a point of fear of being like, I don't know if I can handle that. And I know I have to handle that. That comes to me and my brand. And that's just something we get used to over time. When it comes to something like this, it's just like, we're in control. Like,
yes.
This is what we're building. We have the vision. Nobody else is going to understand it. Come, talk. But the minute you get into like the bullshit, the casual homophobia, the misogyny, like that kind of stuff, it's like it just creates a space where nobody else wants to engage, and we want people to engage.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You are right on, Tina. Well said. And Marty, we have one of the goats. You know, we got to bring the goat back because John's now hanging out with us, Marty. But we have a goat in the lab right now, and I know you can see his name, Marty. I'm not sure if you recognize the name, but John, you have to. Christina, we got to set up a show with one of the goats here in the feed for Jon Andersen to meet him because it's going to be awesome conversation. But I want to take a moment here, and I want to run this thing right here.
What are you talking about?
We got David Sowers hanging out in the lab here this morning. What's up, David Sowers from Kroger?
Oh, but he's the camper now. I forgot he's the camper.
Yeah. So David runs Royal Restrooms, one of the greatest, cleanest restroom operations in North America.
Savannah, Georgia's finest.
That's yes, Marty. That's exactly. Oh, Marty's drinking the Kool-Aid. So David, you know you got Marty coming after you for some partnership. Wait till Johnny gets on your ass about partnership.
Well, here's the thing: is that you're talking to a guy that I made my whole existence out of eating a lot, building a lot of muscle, which means I've probably taken 3 times more dumps than everybody else on the planet. So I can have a great conversation with the dude. Get him on the show.
You know what? Well, so I'll tell you. So, you know, he runs an awesome, like Royal Restrooms. So I've had David on a couple times here, and you know we're going to go into a couple minutes here about talking about this. I'm telling you, Johnny, I've watched videos, I've seen testimonials. They get the cleanest shitters on the planet. So if you're at an event somewhere, hey, up in Tahoe where you are, you got to get some Royal Restrooms up there for you, brother.
Well, I'm going to say, here's the thing: is that in Tahoe I don't have it, so I'm a little bummed out. But in my primary home and my home in Mexico, we have bidets, and if his restrooms have bidets. Now we're talking, baby. Once you get used to washing that thing out, you know, you just can't go back to paper alone.
Sowers, the gauntlet's been dropped, man. We need some bidets in the Royal Restrooms so Andersen can wash his ass.
That's
so
it.
John is bougie, man.
For
You
real.
bougie, man.
So, Marty, are we not learning something every single day about
Yeah,
Jon?
John is bougie, man. I didn't know how bougie John was, dog.
Forgive me. I hate to admit this, but right at this very moment, I'm not understanding what bougie is. In about 2 hours, I'll probably figure it out. But what is, fill me in. What is bougie? Your definition of bougie. What am I?
The regular stuff, the status quo, it's not good enough for you. You need the above average, which I'm not mad
Your
at.
fans.
I'm not mad at.
Your fans.
I'm not complaining about it. I'm not mad about it.
Marty,
Because you deserve it. You
Brother,
deserve it.
that's called a standard.
Yeah.
I have, and here's the thing: people have goals. That's great. Goals are great, but if you have a standard, your goals just kind of fall into line. And yes, I have a very high standard with keeping my sphincter nice and clean.
I love it.
Marty, before you join the lab,
I'm clean too. I'm just old school. So don't sit here and think I ain't cleaning my shit.
Oh, I'm not saying you're not. Listen, I wasn't saying you weren't clean, brother. I'm just talking about me. Because here's the
sorry,
thing.
Christina.
when you eat as much as I do, right? Sometimes, especially as you get older, you get to that point where you hit the cutter and it's just not as sharp as it used to be, and it takes a little bit more to get it all cleaned up.
Jeez. So young.
Talking smack, you know you're on the right track.
So young is in the comments laughing, saying,
Marty, listen, this isn't a male, brother. Your cutter's going to get, it's going to lose its sharpness too. So it's in the mail, brother. You can't help it.
I'm going to enjoy my youth, man.
There you go.
We got laughter in the comments. Good morning, So Young. Thanks for joining us here this morning. We went from talking shit to talking. Yes, we did. And of course, we're talking with we're hanging out with David Sowers in the comments at Royal Restrooms. Good times, having some laugh as well. And I gotta tell you, Marty, before Johnny and I jumped into lab, we were talking about glasses, and Johnny's like, "Yeah, I got a bunch. I like the Versace brand. I got a bunch of Versace glasses." So I'm thinking, Marty, Johnny's got cases of Versace shit paper too.
You got a Versace toilet seat.
Well, one of the reasons that actually is so helpful with having a bidet is I was going through a roll, sometimes 2 of paper a day. That OCD goes bananas. You are looking for a clean piece of paper before you get up. And sometimes that takes a hell of a lot of time and a hell of a lot of paper.
So you went through 7 rolls a week.
I would that's a down payment.
He was on Amazon Subscribe and Save, man.
Dog, yeah. I hope you got toilet tissue stocks. I hope you got some some ownership of some toilet tissue stocks, brother. You gotta get your money back. You need your money back.
Remember when COVID hit and everybody's running around buying water? I was running around buying paper.
Oh, nation, it's the 14-minute mark after the hour. This is the morning show where I'm going to tell you right now, you do not know what to expect in the first 50 minutes of this show. I invite you to tune in every single day at 8 o'clock Eastern time and to hear unpredictable conversations from the lab this morning. So Young's coming in. And Marty, good time is all about, you got some wet wipes, man. You need to use the wet wipes. And we're going to come up here in about 2 minutes on the accountability check-in. But since we're having some humor, I want to I was reading the news this morning, as I do every morning over coffee, and I got to be honest, boys, a title jumped out at me, and I could not even myself believe that this conversation was happening on another morning show. Now, I know we have the greatest morning show on the planet, and we're targeted at men, and we're helping men get their days started and holding men accountable to achieve their biggest goals. But I got to tell you, this story that popped up over on the feed this morning from a morning show in Britain. John, Christina, Marty, here is the headline that drew my attention to it. Having Britain's biggest penis. Not as swell as you might think. So Matt Barr is known to have Britain's biggest penis. He has a 14-inch penis when not erect, and he is figuring out how to manage life. Barr revealed that having a 14-inch penis does come with its share of health issues, including that getting an erection can make him feel sick. He says, it just means there's a lot of issues with blood flow. And then he says, that's partly why my size kind of fluctuates a bit as well, because it's very difficult to have that much blood flowing around there. He says, so I've got lightheaded at times, getting erections and things like that. You just can't fully get erect. He says, I've taken some various medications over time to shrink it, but it has had the opposite effect. He does confess that if he were 20 years younger, he would have set up an OnlyFans account, but he is not interested in doing that today. And he says, for those of you that wish to have a huge penis, he warned, be careful what you wish for because it's not as much fun as you would like. And then a few other comments before I throw it to you guys. Waist size wise, always make sure there's plenty of room up front when he's buying for clothes. He always has to buy a size up because he says you can get some good ones, but for the most part, compression underwear are quite uncomfortable. He also confessed that he's been kicked out of yoga classes because the instructors think that he is aroused while doing the class. So comments team on. So here's what jumped out at me. So first of all, how do you get designated in Britain? Britain doesn't have just a couple of people hanging out. There's maybe a couple thousand, couple million people. Like, how do you first of all get designated, John Marty, with having Britain's biggest 14-inch penis?
I got no idea how you'd get nominated for that one. But all I can picture as this story goes on, this is that guy that's got his it's a baby's arm holding on to an apple type situation. And what are you going to do with that?
I don't know, but what I can't wrap my head around is how, again, I'm just stuck on the fact that, you know, you got Britain's got talent, you got X Factor, you have all these different talent shows, yet Britain has coined Matt Barr the dude with the biggest penis, you know, in Britain. It's like, it's like, was there a contest where guys had to go onto a reality show and pull it out and measure it? I don't know. I just found the whole thing quite fascinating. And I was like, really, this is actually a conversation we are going to have this morning.
Well, it sounds like this whole thing started when he keeps showing up to these exercise classes in spandex. You know, he's got that thing. He's wrapping it around one of his legs, and everybody's thinking, "Oh, Jesus, what's wrong with dude?" Well, I imagine that news spreads pretty quickly.
Oh, Mike McQuillan comes in and says, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. You're right, Quillen. I hear you there. And actually, Mike, I saw your video yesterday, man. Mike sent over an exceptionally honest, vulnerable video yesterday. He dropped it into my feed. And I just wanted to thank you for that, brother. I appreciate your vulnerability. I appreciate what you shared. You know, as we've been talking about insecurities and men's insecurity, he just sent over a video that he did a while back, and he just was pretty honest. So, Mike, I just wanted to call you out and thank you for that, brother. That was fantastic. And Sowers, yes. We need to get some purple paper. We all could use some purple paper, man. Johnny, myself, Marty, you know, Christina, we could use
John needs a purple bidet.
Yeah, purple bidet for John.
That uses purple water.
Oh man, I can't say I want that chemical stuff going up on the cutter. You know, I'm just straight clean water guy.
There you go. All right, we're gonna head to the fit tip. I'm sorry, we're gonna hit to the accountability check-in, but before we do that, Mike jumps in and says, "My pleasure. Resentment is not a superpower. Neither is having a 14-inch hose." Let's take a break. Marty, go for your stretch. Johnny, go for a pee. Tina, I'm going to do some accountability check-in. Let's rock and roll through this. Oh, good times. Hey, I invite you every single morning, tune into the first 15 minutes. It's going to set the tone for your day. If you don't stick around for the rest of the show, I don't care. You know, I'll be frank. You know, of course, I want you to stick around for the whole show, but I understand the show's about getting your day going, getting your day moving around, and you know, to have you sit down for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes is something that I'm very, very grateful for. So the fact that you're hanging out with us is exceptionally kind of you. David Sowers, the fact you start your day with us, my friend, I appreciate that about you, brother. All right, the accountability. Good morning, Team Dragons. Good morning. The accountability check-in this morning. It's at this time of the show. We like to give you something to think about, get your day going, put something on the table, make you pause, make you consider what's up next. And today, we want to lean into this. You need to stop living to please others. Think about that for a moment. Friends, family, colleagues, everybody around you, everybody. They all have expectations. But if your goal is to live up to them, when do you make time for what you want? Because staying true to yourself, no, it doesn't make you selfish, Business Athlete Nation. It makes you a genuine human being. You can support each other, even if you don't fully understand each other. Here's the key. Communicate clearly. Give each other a safe space like we are attempting to create here in the lab. Encourage each other to do what brings happiness. Because you know what? It's possible to be kind and loving without bending until you break. So I invite you to be true to yourself. Inspire your friends, inspire everybody around you to do the same. When you do that, you live the life of a business athlete. And when you do that, you stop living a life pleasing others. Think about it. Everybody else around you has those expectations, but lean into your own. All right. It's the accountability check-in. We drop it every single morning here at around the 10-minute mark, 15-minute mark of the show, I should say. Yeah, exactly, Christina. I did drop it with no time for comments. Good times. Hey, let's see what happens here. Good morning, Team Dragons. What's going on here this morning? All right, boys and girls. So, Marty, Johnny, we ran a poll here. We're gonna welcome Adam House into the lab here in a few moments. Here, we're gonna continue our conversation with Adam. He joined us a couple weeks ago. We're gonna get into a segment with Adam called a brick of the week. I'm just trying to find my notes here. We're gonna get into a brick of the week with Adam House, a brand new weekly segment. Adam's gonna talk about how you turn challenges into a competitive advantage. Adam was out in Los Angeles, I think Beverly Hills here, doing a 2-minute drill segment that they created with Apple TV. We're going to ask Adam about that as well here on the show. But as we welcome Adam in here in a couple moments, I want to just lean into so boys, the last couple of days we've been talking about men's insecurities and the things that, you know, keep us up at night and keep the things that help us, you know, moving forward. The last few days we talked about, oh man, physical appearance, body image, career progress, financial stability, sexual performance and endurance. And then yesterday we tackled emotional vulnerability, expressing feelings, relationship stability, and authenticity. And as we continue our conversation with Adam, we're then going to lean into living up to expectations and fatherhood, parenting, and social status and popularity. But boys, I thought while we were waiting for Adam to join the show here today, I wanted to kind of lean into this topic. We started talking about it yesterday, but this whole concept of signs that your wife, your partner, your spouse, your significant other is not digging you anymore. This is according to a therapist of 14 years, Samantha Rodman Witten, published an article about signs that your wife, your partner, spouse, the person who loves you is not feeling you. Johnny, number one, she never wants to spend any time together with you. And I'm bringing this up because I know, you know, Marty, you know, there's guys tuning into the show right now wondering, how come my partner doesn't want to spend any time with me? Boys, thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it just goes back to if your partner, if people don't want to spend time with you, especially your partner, you got to look at what is it that you're doing that's making this happen. Now, granted, it's a two-way street, but you can only, focus on what you can control, which is how you behave, how you do things. So if your partner doesn't want to spend time with you, start looking at yourself and figure out if there's something you can do to make it better first.
Yes. Marty, the second sign that your partner is really not interested in you at all, gentlemen, is that she doesn't want to touch you. She's like, no, don't want to touch the guy. I have no interest in touching you whatsoever. She's disgusted by touching you. If that's happening, probably a bad sign. CMartyFit.
I mean, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here, but you know, it could be first thing you should look in the mirror at yourself. You know, why doesn't she want to touch me? Maybe I'm, you know, gaining weight. Maybe I'm not clean. You know what I'm saying? It could be a number of things. Maybe I'm just turning her off, or maybe she's touching somewhere else. We gotta be real on here, man. And that's
absolutely, yeah.
You know, let's be real. It's 2024. People got social media. They got access to people all over the world now. So, you know, maybe her attention is elsewhere, or his attention if there's any ladies watching, or you know, his or her, whatever your sexual preference is. But it's the truth, you know. Like I said, I'm not trying to be negative or anything, but we got to look at that side too.
I heard a funny comment, boys, from somebody who said to me recently, your partner, your spouse, your lover, your wife is one DM away, not from you. There's somebody sitting in your wife's DM right now. There's somebody sitting out there in your partner's DMs and your spouse's DMs waiting, Johnny, for you to fuck up. He's just waiting. He's lurking for your wife to get on there and express some vulnerability and some oh, I'm feeling that my husband's not paying attention to me, and then that dude just gets into the DMs and swipes.
I'm gonna say this though. I got two different angles to look at that.
Yeah.
I'm a millennial, you know. I'm not far from Gen Z, you know. So we grew up with social media. Well, maybe not grew up with it, but I've had it for 10 plus years. And that's the absolute truth. And I've been on both sides of that, where, you know, I've had women in relationships or even married women, especially as a personal trainer, they're ready, you know. But if I'm just being honest, they ready. But at the same time, if you're in a relationship like that and she's ready, let her be ready. She's doing you a favor. Let her go or him go. Let them go be over there, because that's not, you don't want that type of toxicity in your life. That's just going to mess your life up and mess your head up, mess up your mental. And it's a bad road. Nobody wants to be on in that world.
Yeah, very
just my opinion.
Good morning, Real Deal Prime. Good to have you here this morning. What do you got on the agenda for your lift today, Real Deal? Love having you on the show. Thank you. And yeah, good time is most women don't move on till they have someone new. And I'm going to suggest most humans probably don't move on till they have someone new. So whether, you know, and I know we're talking to men here this morning, but you know, if you're wondering why things aren't happening, maybe there's stuff happening in the DMs there on the old IG. And Dean, hey, love having the comments in the feed. I invite your comments, invite all the banter. I would suggest though that we you know, we want to keep some great guardrails to conversation up here. So the moment we kind of step outside the lines, we're going to invite you to leave the room here. Coming up in a couple moments, the CMartyFit tip at the bottom of the hour. Johnny, we were talking at the start of the show about just gifts and the credenza and stuff in there. If your wife is not terrified of spending money and spends a lot of money on things she wants for herself, but tells you never to buy her any gifts for birthdays or anniversaries, this is a bad sign. So she's spending money on herself, but the moment that you, Mister, is wanting to buy something, she's like, no, don't buy me anything. Probably telling you that she's not into you.
You know, I got to tell you, this whole kind of line of what we're talking about, seems like all of these different points, they all go back to what I see. I see is the fact that there's very much a victim mentality in here, because all this insecurity is coming from what could be handled if someone was handling their business, you know. And I think COVID had a big part of this, because the world population learned helplessness, which feeds right into this terrible victim mentality. If something's going wrong around you, including something with your spouse or your wife or your girlfriend, take action. Do something about it. Don't sit back and say, poor me, she's this, she's that, she's this, she's that, because you're on your ass eating Cheetos. Get up and take care of yourself.
Well, I think that's the key message here, John. And I think what we're inviting, you know, Business Athlete Nation, our listeners tuning in right now, is that, you know, ultimately we know that you have the responsibility to make change yourself. What I'm offering up is signals or signs. Sometimes we all need somebody to say it out loud for us to have that awareness check, right? So,
Yep.
You know, you're right, John. You're right, Marty. I believe I'm right with some of the things we're talking about. And there's somebody listening right now going, right. It was no different than, you know, brought to my attention about just some of the trolls we got going on here. I was like, yeah, I know that. Right. Let's do something about it. Right. So somebody listening right now going, my wife hasn't touched me in 2 weeks, or my wife hasn't wanted to be intimate, or here's another one. She just doesn't want to talk. She doesn't confide in you much to tell you anything funny or cute that happened that day. Mostly she talks to her friends and the kids. When you do say something, she seems irritated and wants to go back to whatever she's doing. She doesn't find you funny, Johnny. And she doesn't seem to think you have anything very interesting to say, Marty. She's waiting for that DM to slide into Instagram, Marty.
Like I said, it's unfortunate. And being a trainer, I've just seen both sides, you know, for men and women, because people open up to me. And it's like I said, look in the mirror, fix what you can fix, control what you can control. But at the same time, there are some things that are going to be out of your control.
That's it here. That's it. And the last one before we get into the CMartyFit tip and continue our break, and then we're going to dig into, if Adam's here, we're going to have Adam join the show. If not, we're going to continue our conversation around men's insecurities. But the next one is, she doesn't try to look attractive to you. She still dresses up, but only for work or to go out with friends. I know, Marty, you've talked about that on your show. The idea of her dressing up for you seemed ridiculous to her, even though she used to do it. If you mention a preference in what she wears and she acts burdened by it, perhaps not going to be a good thing. And before I open up to you boys, I'm just going to say, gentlemen, here's the great opportunity to get your fat ass out of bed this morning and pull your belly in and do something about it. Because if you're not looking attractive to her, we talked about it yesterday, I really don't know how you can expect her to want to be attractive for you. And I think it's actually as simple as that. And Marty, I know you talk about that often on your show.
John, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking to myself, if you got a wife or a spouse that's not wanting to get dressed up for you, let's go. The reasons why, we can go back to that all day long. But what you do have control of, take her out to a nice restaurant where she's got to get dressed up. You know, you basically do something where she's going to be excited to get dressed up for you. That's part of the problem. It sounds like you've shunned her, you've done whatever you've done to her. She doesn't give a damn because you're not investing the time, the effort, the love, all the things that make her want to be beautiful for you.
Yes. So we're talking here about, 10 signs your wife, your partner, spouse isn't feeling you anymore. Mornings in the Lab with Keith, CMartyFit, Jon Andersen. Adam, I see you in the green room there, pal. If you can activate your vertical stream, that would be great. We can get you into both streams here. We're going to jump into the C-Fit tip, the CMartyFit tip. Johnny, go for a pee break. Christina, Jimmy, we're gonna do the fit tip with Marty and come back and continue the segment with Adam House around the House of Bricks here. So coming up, boop, boop, boop. Here we go, Marty. Nope. There you go, Marty.
Hey, come on, man. Don't give me Johnny's music. We don't want that. I'm good. Oh, man. Oh, I lost my page. Hold on one second, guys. Let me pull it up. But we got the fitness tip for today. I drop a fitness tip every day on this show. So here we go. I got it back up. Let's get into it. Men thrive on structure, challenge, and seeing progress. Here's how you can tap into that mindset to build a consistent fitness routine without overhauling your life. Set clear, achievable goals. Define what success looks like. You want to do 20 push-ups in one go, run a mile without stopping. Setting a clear target gives you something to aim for and makes each workout feel like a step toward victory. Make it a competition. Tap into your competitive side. Most of us guys, we played sports when we were young. We know how to be competitive. You talk trash with the boys. You talk trash in the group chat. Use a fitness app to track your progress and compete against your past self. Beat your last week's numbers, whether it's more reps, faster runs, or heavier weights. Create a ritual. Make your workout time sacred. Whether it's putting on your favorite playlist, drinking a pre-workout shake, or wearing your go-to gear. Rituals signal your brain it's time to get down to business. This helps build a strong association with the routine. And I don't know if Keith and John saw my story yesterday, but I basically, I posted some guys running their mouths in the gym, not being serious. Don't be that guy. When it's time to go to the gym, go to the gym. If you're done with your workout, after the gym, after work, you with your wife, you with the kids, now it's time to joke around, play. But when you at the gym, let's get to work and let's get these results. And let's make it a sacred time to get better physically and mentally. Visualize the end game. Picture your future self stronger, more confident, crushing goals. Visualization can motivate you to push through tough days. Remind yourself why you started and what you're working towards. Use the power of accountability. Tell a friend about your fitness goals or join a group where you can share your progress. Knowing someone's got their eyes on your progress can be a powerful motivator. Consistency isn't about grinding yourself down. It's about showing up, putting in the work, and gradually building the best version of yourself. Tap into your drive, compete against your past, and make every workout count. That's the fitness tip for today.
CMartyFit tip of the day drops every single day around the 30-minute mark of the show here. Myself, Jon Andersen, CMartyFit, producer Christina Flynn. Mornings in the Lab. We drop 8 o'clock Eastern time. YouTube, X, LinkedIn. I invite you to subscribe to the channel, comment on the channel, like the channel, tell your friends about it, and come join us every single day at 8 o'clock. And good morning, Real Deal. Love the comments. Smash the like, y'all. Exactly, Real Deal. I appreciate your support. And we are going to bring in our friend, business athlete, joining us from Michigan here this morning. We got Adam House here, boys and girls. What's going on, Mr. House? Let's do this.
Adam, what's up, brother?
Hey, That was a big assumption that we're friends. After that last time I was on your show, your basketball comments, I can't get over them. They're just hurting me. When you mentioned Dennis Rodman in the top 5, man, so this is a chance to win me back. But
that's crazy.
You got a long road ahead of you.
So we have an experienced entrepreneur of 27 years, former pro basketball player, Adam House, business advisor, mentor, the leader of the incomparable House of Bricks community. Great community, gentlemen. If you want to look for a community of, great leaders, great entrepreneurs, great advice along the way, Adam's got a great business there at the House of Bricks. Adam, you dropped something in my messages yesterday. We were supposed to do this yesterday, but you were hanging out in Los Angeles, and I think doing some TV stuff. Adam, why don't you tell Business Athlete Nation and Marty and John what you've been doing here behind the scenes with Startup X, Adam House?
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for the introduction. Got in late last night, but I wouldn't miss this show for the world, man. I really enjoyed it a couple of weeks ago being on. Great to be a part of it. But I was in LA filming a show called The 2-Minute Drill. So it's like Shark Tank. It's for entrepreneurs to come on, do their pitch contest. So many entrepreneurs focus so much on their product and their team. But at the end of the day, if you can't pitch what you're doing, why you're doing it, the problem you're solving, who it impacts in 2 minutes or less, you're going to miss millions of opportunities, right? You meet somebody at a dinner. Investors only give you 2 minutes of their time, even though it's a 30-minute meeting. They're not listening after the first 2 minutes. So if you don't capture them in that moment, you're going to miss opportunities. So I was out there filming with David Meltzer. It's in its 6th season on Apple TV, Prime, Roku. It'll be released in October. But we took 12 startup founders through our Startup X program, and they said, hands down, it was the best episode they've ever had because we put in the work, and it was just a great outcome. So cool experience for me, of course, but even more for our founders and the exposure they'll get with their businesses.
That's awesome, Adam. So where can people find that show, and when will it be available to view?
Late October, and again, it'll be on Apple TV, Prime, Roku, and a couple other streaming platforms. But look, it was a great experience for everybody.
Yeah. So we're here to talk. We're here to kick off a new segment. Adam, you've been so kind to come join us here. We're going to do this weekly on Tuesdays, I believe is our goal here, 8:30 Eastern time. We're going to lean into something that, Adam's very passionate about, and it's going to be the brick of the week with Adam House. And we're going to talk about, Johnny, helping you turn challenges into a competitive advantage. And Adam, when you threw that on the table for me, I thought that was a great discussion for us to get into, and we'll lean into that weekly. Adam, where do we want to start this discussion today? When you talk about turning challenges into competitive advantage, maybe we weave it back to what you just came from in LA and the team that people were pitching to you. Was there some formidable challenges that those folks had to overcome to be competitive? And you see some out of that group that clearly had a competitive advantage?
Well, your second comment, it was the most difficult vote I've ever cast. It was like trying to pick my favorite kid because I saw all 6 of these contestants where they were was absolutely terrible on their 2-minute pitch. And every one of them showed up at the high level. But again, success is not an epiphany. And that's what we talk about in the House of Bricks. It's doing the small things every day consistently for over a long period of time. And that's what makes the big impact. And so, the way I view obstacles is they're really just the raw materials for your success, right? Yes. Every obstacle is an ingredient in the success that you're trying to accomplish. So we talk about building life brick by brick, and you have that choice to carry adversity with you, and it's going to weigh you down, or you can lay it down and build a strong foundation. Because I've had success in my life, but the success only lasts for a second. And I'm not talking about in the bedroom. Just kidding. I don't know if I could say that, but I had to wake everybody up. Are people listening out there?
You can say whatever. You can say whatever here at this point.
You missed the first 15 minutes. So
yeah, I heard some date conversation as I was plugging in. So why not lighten things up a little bit? We're all, well, at least I'm over 40, so things change. Anyway, back to my point here is it's not about the success. You really don't learn anything from winning, although I love to win. But you really learn through the struggle and the failures if you have the right mindset. Because there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that are like, oh, I'm grinding, I'm working. But like, where are you going? If you don't have the right destination, you're just grinding yourself into a pillar of salt. So it's really about setting the right destination, and then just turning those obstacles and adversity into stepping stones, which is more difficult than people make it seem.
Yeah, absolutely. Johnny.
I love that. I mean, do you see problems or do you see opportunities? Do you see problems or do you see challenges? And I remind myself all the time, the more difficulty, the more anxiety, the more stress an opportunity presents me, the bigger the opportunity. They're directly correlated. Call it a big problem, big opportunity. And people just need to look at it from the right side. Are you looking at which side of the coin are you looking at? Because if you're looking at the problem, you're not looking at solutions. And so you got to flip the coin over and realize, yes, this problem, but damn, look at the opportunity attached to it. Let's go.
Yeah. Marty.
No, absolutely. And I tell a lot of business relates to fitness, and just like Johnny said, you have to look at this. You have to look at the solution, and there's always adjustments that can be made, right? And then once you make the adjustment, or once you figure out the solution, there's another problem coming. So that's another reason you can't get too caught up on the issue, because it's just like it's cycles. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, highs, lows. So it's kind of like you're developing a skill set, and it's going to help you in the future.
Adam, when you were the CEO, co-owner of the Rochester Razor Sharks, the basketball team you played on, were you guys? Did you guys win a lot, Adam, or did you lose more than you win? Were you 500 team, or where were you guys in the win and loss call?
Well, they won 3 championships in 5 years. So in the PBL, I mean, they were the premier team for sure. Unfortunately, we did not win it the year I was there. I'm not taking any responsibility for it. No, I'm kidding.
Nope.
But yeah, they had won 3 out of 5 years, and we should have won it the year I was there. And I think we got a little complacent. So could have been a better outcome. I'd love to have that ring, but it was a great experience.
But you made a comment which stands out to me, because you said you won 3 out of the 5 years. Because you guys were winning so much, Adam, and I think this happens often in business, when we're winning so much, we're masking all the falters in the back office. We're masking the mistakes happening over there. We're not paying attention to some process improvements that we can go along the way. It's not until it seems like time goes by, the CFO sits down with you, Adam or John, and is like, hey, we're going sideways. Oh, we got to make some changes. We got to make some cuts. Yet it would seem that if we were paying attention, Adam, while we were winning, that maybe we wouldn't have to make pivots when we start losing. Can we talk about that a little bit? Because once we win, we just love winning, but yet we just ignore all of the, I'm not going to worry about that right now, John. That's not worry. We're winning. Let's talk about this for a few moments, boys, about embracing while you're winning. You got to look even harder at where you're losing. Adam.
Yeah, and this is not just related to basketball.
Yeah.
This is related to entrepreneurship.
Yes.
So we talk about building a strong foundation in your business. Do you have the right operating agreement? Do you have the right shareholder agreements? Do you have the right financial model, go-to-market strategy, partnership agreements? And I have seen entrepreneurs leave millions of dollars on the table because they didn't have the right operating agreement. They didn't have the right share classes. So they skip these steps along the way. And we talk about building a strong foundation, these 5 pillars of a strong business. And when you're having success, you ignore these. They don't want to pay their lawyer. They don't want to pay their accountant. Sales are coming in, money's coming in. Well, all of those things come back to bite you when you go to sell the company.
Yeah. That's, and it's funny, Adam, because when we're setting businesses up, it's that stuff that nobody really wants to pay attention to. It's like, I gotta get my product fit. I gotta go to the market. I gotta go find somebody. And Adam, I'm often as guilty of that, as I've started things in the past, but you gotta slow down and go, no, wait a minute. We gotta get those I's dotted and those T's crossed, because when you do start winning, somebody's going to come at your knees and maybe try to knock you out, and you got to get that foundation set up first. Right. So, all right.
Let me speak on that real quick. I mean, one of the, obviously, Adam, I love listening to you talk. I mean, you're dropping pearls left and right. I always just try to simplify things for myself. That's how I find success, is simplification. I think the audience, can benefit from that too. So what I remind myself in this whole thing, this topic, is that it's not getting to that destination that makes me happy. It's the journey of things I'm doing that gets me there. So once I get there, all I do is ratchet it up again. I'm here now. I gotta set another place to get to, because I want this enjoyable journey to continue. And I think when people get to that first destination, secured is your worst enemy. They get secure, they get relaxed, and then things start going to hell in a handbag, and they're not realizing it's the path that made them. That was the juice is in the path to get there, not the destination.
That's it. Yo, Adam's joining us on the show. Good morning, you all. Thanks for jumping in here today. Yeah, the same discipline in business is needed in fitness and in life in general. You're absolutely right. And confidence has to be balanced. It's easy to always be looking at the win column, always be celebrating the sales. It is so easy to ignore what's happening behind the scenes that you have to pay attention to along the way here. So, Johnny, we're going to jump into a lifestyle tip with you here in a quick second, and then we're going to come back. And I think what we're going to do, and Adam, because you are, and we've been talking all week, Adam, about men's insecurities and where, how just kind of men are working themselves through society. And, it struck me, you're a senior.
I am.
Some boys that are juniors. This topic is probably one of the best topics, ironically enough, with you on the show, but it's this idea of living up to expectations. A 2023 study in the Journal of Men's Studies found that 50% of men feel significant pressure to live up to their father's expectations. And a 2022 survey, John, Marty, Adam, found by Men's Health reported that 40% of men feel insecure about their ability to match or exceed their father's achievements. Now, Adam, this really makes me curious, because you got some really talented young men in your family. You've always had a very successful father yourself as well. So I would I would love to have this conversation around living up to expectations and how that works. But to do that, why don't we, John? Why don't we do the lifestyle segment with you, and then why don't we come back and continue the conversation around living up to expectations? And Adam, would love to hear some of your comments on this. Would that be cool?
Yeah, so if that's tossed over to me, a lot of different layers to that. So you mentioned my father again. Like, what I've realized having kids now, being a dad, is that parents are just kids that grew up and had kids, right? And so whatever environment you're raised in, you're inherently going to acquire different things, good, bad, and ugly. And I grew up in a difficult home, but understanding now, being a dad, all the challenges, my dad grew up, his parents were alcoholics, they were abusive. So there were things that he inherited that, he walked out as a dad towards us as well. And again, we talk about, we have a choice in life, right? To either, say poor me or turn into a competitive advantage. And I had the opportunity to have a lot of judgment and unforgiveness for my dad, for his alcohol and abuse and all those things. But I took that and turned it into a competitive advantage, because living in unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It's really killing you. And so I was able to go through that process of restoration and forgiveness with him, and it changed me as a father. So with the expectations, it's tough because my kids, they have a lot of blessings. My wife and I have been married for 21 years, but we still have expectations on them. And I tell them all the time, like, I want my ceiling to be your floor, right? So whatever I've achieved, you need to build off of that. I'm not giving you the keys to the house. Okay. You're my son, my oldest just turned 18. And as a joke, in his birthday card, I put an invoice for his rent, so I was like, you're a man now, time to pay rent, so it's as a parent, You have to create accountability, discipline, room for failure, but they know that there's no expectation to achieve what I have, but they have responsibility to be the best version of themselves. And we create that environment, and it's tough.
Yeah. Michelle Shea jumps in and says, thanks for joining in, Michelle. I got to break the cycle. Yes. And somebody has to break that cycle along the way. And Adam's been kind enough to share some of that story in his life. Sorry. So we're going to break for a quick minute. John's going to do a lifestyle segment. Then we're going to come back and continue the conversation around living expectations and so forth, and continue that chat here. So boys, let's do this. No, we're going to do this one here. Yeah. Johnny, I got better music coming for you, pal. Trust me. I got better music. I got
to send something over. That's
terrible. I know. Hang tight, boys. Hang tight. There you go, Mr. Andersen.
All right, let's get a lifestyle tip. We want something simple and actionable that can help you every day. So let's peel the layers back here. Let's distill. What do we want? We want to be happy. As people, we want to be happy. Well, if we can have a good day, especially every day, it makes it much easier for us to be happy. So here's the concept. We cannot control what happens around us, but we have 100% control of how we react to what happens around us. So when you're driving to work and you're in traffic and somebody flips you off and you get all bent out of shape, you just let that person control your happiness. So when someone flips you off, wave at him. Hope that tell him, hope he has a better day. What bottom line is, you are allowing yourself to get bent out of shape. So remember, you have zero control of what happens around you, but you have 100% control of how you react to what happens around you. And that is what controls your happiness.
Lifestyle tip from Jon Andersen. You do have control. You have absolute everything. You got control over everything. Control what you're putting in your mouth, control over what you're saying out of your mouth, and controlling how you feel when somebody, gives you that reaction that makes you pretty pissed off. So take control of your life and do something about it. Mornings in the lab here, the lifestyle tip with Jon Andersen. We're talking men's expectations. We're talking about helping you turn challenges into a competitive advantage as men. We're talking right now about living up to expectations. And guys, and Adam, I want to look at you again for around entrepreneurship, right? Society measures men's worth, entrepreneurs' worth by their success, pushing them to the brink, right? The endless chase. We know, Adam, you've been there, I've been there, that leads to burnout, mental health crisis, physical breakdowns. Talk about the pressure that entrepreneurs face and living up to the expectations of being one. And they have this dream, Adam. It's like, okay, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, be a successful entrepreneur. And they're sitting at the breaking point. What kind of advice do you give that person coming to you, privately knocking on your door in the house of bricks, Adam?
Listen, entrepreneurship is tough. And now that I'm advising and coaching other entrepreneurs, I realize how difficult it really is, because when you're going through it yourself, you're kind of just like blind to the punishment and sacrifice that you're putting in. But most times that's all you can do, because you may have taken out a loan, you borrowed money from your parents. Like you really get far enough into it that you can't get out, right? Those dreams have now met reality. And I just tell people, and I've been very fortunate since even in my senior year in high school, I've been around great people. I've been around great entrepreneurs. I worked for Dan Gilbert, owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers, founder of Rocket Mortgage, my senior year of high school. So just being around, there's really three relationships, that you need in life. One is someone mentoring you, right? Someone that is where you want to go. Find that mentor. The second is peer-to-peer relationships, right? Like Keith, you and I are doing. We're climbing the entrepreneurship mountain together. And then where a lot of people miss out, and it is the most life-giving and exponential thing you can do, is mentor other people. And so wherever you're at in life, you have accomplished something that you have to give to someone else. So if you work at a local gas station, there's people out there that don't have a job, that don't know how to get a job at a gas station. So go find someone and help them. And that's really how you 10x your life, is helping other people. And with those three relationships, that's how I've really been able to multiply my success. And that's what we're doing with the House of Bricks community. So we don't have profile envy in the House of Bricks. There's top CEOs, there's up and coming entrepreneurs, because we can all learn from each other.
Marty, Jon, Adam, this is a challenge. Social media, and Adam, again, I'm going to look at you, pal, because we're both building our businesses here again, and social is obviously a big part of that. Social media is turning every human being, Johnny, it's turning men, females, it's turning us all into imposters. Marty, men are living double lives. One for social media, one for reality. They're getting up in the morning out and putting their entrepreneur hat on and putting a face on in front of social, and then they're going back and they're losing themselves in this race to appear successful. Talk about this idea of this fake idea of appearing successful and not embracing the journey of getting to success. Marty, start with you, man. You spend a lot of time. You're the younger part of our demo here. IG and social is a big part of your life and your friends and so forth. Talk about reality and fakery and so forth, Marty.
Yeah, so unfortunately, social media has made people want to get to the success quickly.
Yeah.
Right. And so I guess, guys in your generation, Johnny, Keith, and Adam, they couldn't highlight, or I guess they couldn't document their journey. So now, and people have access. You can rent a Lambo and post it and make it look like your life is, something it's not. You could have you seen they have like little studios that look like the inside of a private jet? Yeah. You can rent it out for an hour and go take pictures in there. You go take pictures in there, it looks like you're on a private jet. Yeah, so there's also so much access to things that can make it look real, but it's fake. And it's just the culture now, and you can't get caught up in it. I've made the mistake in getting caught up in it. Being a younger millennial, younger solopreneur, and it can really throw you off. And just like Adam said, real life can hit. I've had experiences. Business loans, business going low. Just taking a lot of losses, and life hits, and it makes you realize that stuff isn't real. And I needed to make the mistake to grow, but I wish I didn't. But obviously, it's part of the process, and it only makes you better. So go ahead, Jon. I see you.
This is, oh man, I'm just chomping, man, because this is so easy. It's so easy to sniff this stuff out.
Yeah.
Because don't look at the cars, don't look at the houses, don't look at all the shit that you see on social media. Look at the habits of the person, because the people that really have this stuff, their habits are going to align. This guy that rented all this stuff, he's still sleeping. So all you got to do is look at the habits of the person who's flashing all this stuff, and you'll see real quickly if it's real or not.
Yeah. Adam, thoughts on this?
It's social media is a tool, right? And you can either use it or it can use you. Those are the options. So you have to ask yourself, who's the tool? Is it the platform or is it you? And so it's a great way to make a big impact over time. But I've never paid attention to social media until the last year with this new business. I have to do it. But I go on LinkedIn and I see these guys with 80,000 connections and all these likes and comments, and they're a top voice. And then I scroll down and look at their resume. They've never had a job, bro. Never had a job. So what I've started doing is actually Googling people off LinkedIn to see if they even exist, right? Yeah. I'm sure you have some press releases, Keith, about you or businesses you've sold, whatever. And, see, Marty, I don't know about those our generation comments. We're not that old, bro. Throwing us in another generation.
It's funny, Adam, and we're going to wrap up our segment with you here, Adam. And I want to be respectful of your time, but it's funny, Adam, because when I met Marty and I said, hey, Marty, let's sit down and do some business together. He's like, yeah, man, I Googled you. I saw you're legit. I'm like, all right, there you go. So he's like, there's that thing, right? But Adam, I wanted to lean into you with this conversation because like myself, like yourself, I left social years ago, and then I come back into the world here. I'm like, okay, I'm going to build a business again. I'm like, oh man, really? Yeah, and you're like, oh, I got to go and do all that and compete with all the fakery and be a part of the fakery and be a part of that conversation and not let it affect my mental state or my FOMO. And you're right, Adam, right? It's so easy to get drawn into it. You have to pause, step back, and just pull yourself back into reality. And I'm saying that to you, Adam, because you and I have done legitimate things off the social platforms, and it's so easy to get drawn into that fake yacht, that fake Lamborghini, and that fake airplane. You got to just step back and put it all into context, Adam?
Yeah, 100%. And as we talk about kind of the brick of the week, something I want to leave you guys with, I'll do it with a question, which is, and it ties into exactly what we're talking about here. What is the most expensive place and wealthiest place on earth?
Awesome. Adam House.
That's a question. You got to answer it.
Yeah, I was just sitting there thinking. I don't know. That's it, because
Keith is a little,
because wealthy is a very broad term. Wealth is not just money. Your wealth is, I guess you could say, it's more attached to your happiness. So that's a hell of a question.
Truthfully, you broke up for me, Adam, there, so I missed part of the question.
No, you're good. I said, what is the wealthiest place on earth? And I'll just answer it for the sake of time. And it ties into everything we talked about. It's the cemetery. And the cemetery is full of unfulfilled dreams, potential, love, relationships, things they never did, right? And so that's a place of fulfilled regret. So I would rather pay for anything than get the bill for regret in life. So I just want to encourage everybody out there to move forward in whatever you have given. To whom much is given, much is required, and to continue to climb the mountain brick by brick.
Oh, I like that.
That's the pain of sacrifice is temporary. The pain of regret is forever, man. I love
that's
that.
Right.
That's beautiful.
Adam House of Bricks, brand new segment. The Brick of the Week with Adam House joining us every single Tuesday. We're going to drop Tuesday at 8:30 Eastern time. He's going to come hang out with us for half an hour and have some conversations and help you guys move forward. Adam, what a great analogy, man. I've spent some time the last couple of years just from the business side of things in the cemetery. And for those of you that don't know, go spend some time in one. It's actually quite a place of inspiration. Like, believe it or not, it's once you get over the sadness of why people go there, pause. And to Adam's point, look at all the, there's just so much inspiration, I find, because there's so much love there, and there's just so much, there's so much peace there. And if you spend some time at one, I think you're going to find yourself quite surprised at how you're going to feel leaving that space there. So Adam, I enjoy having you in the lab, my friend. I enjoy watching your journey at House of Bricks. Everybody, you can find Adam on LinkedIn. That's where he's at. You can find him on House of Bricks. Go join the House of Bricks community. A lot of great human beings in there. And Adam's going to come back next Tuesday. Mr. House, you have a great day, my friend.
All right, fellas. Hey, thank you. It's always great being here.
Thank you, Adam. Always fun to talk to you, brother.
Man.
Take care, pal. All right, Adam's leaving the show here today. We're coming back here with, I took John off the show there. So we'll continue our conversation here, Mornings in the Lab. Come on up at the top of the hour here, second hour of the show. We're going to lean into our creator spotlight, and then we're going to come back and continue the dialogue, around men's expectations. We were talking about living up to expectations and what that's all about. And then we're going to talk about fatherhood and parenting. And I know, Marty, this is not, your wheelhouse, and this is more of kind of working about towards your wheelhouse. Maybe we can talk about some of the things that you grew up with and so forth. But we're going to get into that fatherhood and parenting conversation in a few moments. But before, Jimmy, let's get it to the creator spotlight. I'm just moving back to my notes here. Today's creator spotlight is, let me see here. I just got to find it here. There we go. All right. So today's creator spotlight is somebody who Christina threw on my radar today, last night, and I did a little bit of looking. I was like, oh, interesting. An AI workshop leader, operations manager, growth agency, speaker. She leans into the world of AI, John, Marty. She makes AI lessons learnable, mostly through fun analogies. And I know on the show here, we're liking to, we like to leave nuggets, and we like to give information of inspiration and so forth. Well, this human being here clearly is offering up content of value that I think people are going to want to lean into. So today's creator spotlight, John, Marty, producer Tina. Tina, I'm going to bring you on stage for this one. Christina, I'm going to bring you up on this one here. So there we go. Okay, so today's, because I want to ask you some questions about this human. So today's creator spotlight is, my markers here. Boom. There she is there. Tara, Tamiko Thompson, today's Mornings in the Lab Creator Spotlight. We are here to celebrate you here today. Christina said, hey, Keith, you got to check out what Tara's doing over on LinkedIn. She's championing the transformation from AI hurdles to AI-driven progress. She delivers nuggets through workshops. She's a speaker. She's a panel moderator. But what I really love, John, and I don't know if you've done this, Johnny, but have you ever tried solving a Rubik's Cube in record time? And she leads into this in the About page. That's AI for many. It's colorful, it's complex, it's challenging, yet with the right moves, it all comes together brilliantly. And Tamika says, like any intricate system, AI has core elements. When they click into place, they shift our understanding. Guess what? She's here to help you, get yourself organized with AI. And pull things together here. So even though AI takes the spotlight, my app-loving heart remains unswayed. That app queen, still mine and proudly so. So Tamika Thompson, we are here to celebrate you today. Mornings in the Lab, Creator Spotlight. You check it out here. She's got, and one of the other things that really drew my attention, Christina, before I throw it to you was, it was her birthday yesterday. So if you see what's going on and we see her celebrating today, I invite you to jump into her feed. She got awesome, colorful purple hair. David Sowers is going to love the purple hair that Tamika has. Maybe, David, we can get Tamika to help sponsor the Royal Restroom stuff. But Christina, what was Tara doing that drew your attention to her where you're just like, hey, Keith, we got to celebrate Tara today?
Well, on behalf of Tara, because she's always having to do this. So it's actually Tara. And I came across her, I don't know quite how long ago, but we bonded just based on our love of AI. And what I learned very quickly is sort of like a lot of us on this show, when you've been through it, when you're a little bit older in your journey, when you have life experiences, you just look at the world and you look at these opportunities like what we're seeing with AI right now very differently. And Tara does an amazing job at that. She's learned how to, through analogies and just through her own beautiful personality, which is very outgoing and energetic, she's learned how to make something really, really complicated, really, really easy to understand for all people, which I love. I also love the fact, because I think we're going to see a lot more of it on LinkedIn particularly, she's just genuinely talented at video. It's something I struggle with. So I always see it with other people when they're great at it and they lean into video. That's where all of this stuff is going. So it's a different way of people to be able to learn. It's not just text. We're appealing to people with different learning modalities. And I just think it's very approachable. It's fun. The best thing that she's recently shared is a hack. She takes you step by step through how do you actually take advantage of the data that LinkedIn collects on all of us. You can download that for free. You can get insights on who's following you, your comments, your posts, and she gives instructions on how to take that data, input it into your AI model of choice, and actually get some insights that are going to help you to make better content in the future based on your past content.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Tara Thompson, today's Creator Spotlight, celebrating you. Mornings in the Lab, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, Monday to Friday on LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. All right. Man, I like this segment. I really enjoy doing this. I just love taking the light and shining it on humans, and we're getting better at that every single day, and we're going to spread this across the different platforms. Good time. Appreciate the respect comment. Appreciate that. We're coming to the second hour, last half of the show here, the last segment of the show here. Christina, John, Marty, we're going to dig into, Christina, I'll keep you on stage for this one. Let's move into fatherhood and parenting. A wake-up call for men breaking free from expectations. We're talking about men's insecurities this week. Team, a 2023 survey by Fatherly found that 55% of fathers are concerned about whether they are effectively preparing their childhood for adulthood. And the Pew Research Center in 2022 reported that 60% of fathers, they feel anxious about their role in educating and guiding their children. Johnny, I see you nodding there, man. Are you relating to some of this here? So then hang tight there, pal. The perfect dad myth is maybe setting men up for failure. This impossible standard of being the flawless father, driving men to brink. John, you've balanced fatherhood and a career. How has striving to be a perfect dad, perhaps in your eyes, or a perfect dad in your daughter's eyes, how has it affected you, Johnny?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. And, when I came into fatherhood, I thought, man, there's no handbook. How do we do this? And I thought, well, let's kind of fast forward. When I'm getting towards the end of this, or fatherhood, for the early part of fatherhood is over, and I don't want to be that guy where my kids look at me and say, why didn't you show me this? Why didn't you tell me that? Why didn't you teach me this? So I made a deal with myself. I'm much happier knowing I did too much than too little. And as I got that was kind of what gave me the freedom to start. Okay, I felt comfortable moving around. Then I realized all I got to do is I've got to teach them how to basically create the habits in their life, especially their mornings, that's going to start their day with the proper trajectory. I used to get them up. Goodness, they hated this, but I used to get them up and take them 15, 20-minute jog before school, because it would wake them up. They showed up to school ready to go. So I took pride in knowing that I was going to do too much rather than too little. And if that was my flaw, I could live with that.
Marty, not a father yet.
Flow.
Yeah. Marty, not a father yet. I know you love and respect your father, and you see other fathers out there. When you think about this, Marty, and the pressures that dads have, and I know you aspire to be a dad, and I've gotten to know you, and I think you're going to be an exceptional father when you are fortunate to become one. Do these stats concern you, Marty, or do you just listen and observe and go, okay, when I'm a dad, I'm going to take everything I've learned and take things from my dad and be the best dad that I can be?
Listen, man. Pressure is my cousin, man. Me and Pressure are related. I
love that.
Pressure been at the cookout. Me and Pressure been to the family reunion. I'm used to pressure. So, I mean, I've never walked into any situation in my life and been worried about pressure, because I know it's going to be there, and I've always overcome it. So, being a dad is just the next, I don't even want to call it an obstacle, but just that next level of my life I haven't gotten to yet. But I'm looking forward to the challenges it brings, because I know I'm going to be great, and I know I'm going to be able to overcome, whatever it has to bring to me.
So this topic, when I saw it on the table, and Marty, I appreciate that, man, because I embracing pressure, right? Because I this topic made me nervous, because I struggle with this one, boys. Girls, I just had this conversation with Piper a couple days ago, and I had it with Carter a couple days ago too. I struggle with whether I'm a good dad. I know I'm a good dad. Like, there's logic there, but then I go and beat myself up about it. I do. I absolutely do. And perhaps because I'm a divorced father, right? And then I deal with those issues in my head, because my kids don't live with me all the time. My kids live down the street with their mom, and I see my kids regularly. It's not as if I don't see my kids. That's not the message I'm trying to give. I see my kids regularly. And Marty, you've seen me around my children. But this is one that eats at my caw, that I absolutely, I would be a statistic here. I know I'm struggling with my words here, and I'm just probably holding back my emotion, but this one beats at me, where, I ask myself whether I'm a good dad, and probably like, no, dad, you're a great dad. Like, yeah, but what about those moments where I don't feel like I am, or I put so much time into building this business, or I put time into building my last business. And, so this one was nervous for me, team, when I sat down here to say, okay, I'm going to dig into this one and share how I'm feeling about it, because there's not a day go by, day goes by, Johnny, where I probably struggle with questions in my own head about this. True story.
Well, I mean, it's obviously a topic that's very close to your heart and mine too, and I think when it comes down to, I mean, I'll agree with you, brother. I mean, I have that same question. Did I make the right choices? Am I doing the right stuff? But I figured bottom line is that I know that if I commit to whatever I'm doing, including fatherhood, at very least, I'm teaching them how to commit, and, teaching them how to, when I lean into that anxiety or that fear and I push, that's what makes me feel better.
Yes. Well, Johnny, I appreciate you saying that, because I was sitting with Piper a couple of days ago, and I said, Pipes, why I work so hard? I said, because most humans don't understand what it takes to have what most humans want. And I'm just going to be brass tacks here. Most humans want to have a lot of money. And anybody who wants to disagree with me can fuck off, because I know you all do. It's true, because money does change your life. It improves your quality of life. And I know that wealth is all measurable, but family and everything. But you tell me one human being that doesn't have money, let me back that up. You tell me one human being that doesn't want to go make money. You tell me one human being that doesn't want to go and try to make the most money for their family and change people's lives. So if we want to, I always joke with my kids, I work so hard so I can buy an airplane. Like, what? Yeah, so I can buy time, so I can get in an airplane with my dogs and my kids and fly somewhere. That's my motivation, so I can buy time. So to do that, that's just not working 4 hours a day and hanging out on weekends and doing 3 hours here and doing 4 hours there. No, if you want to change the world, and I said to Piper, I sometimes think I have this inherent beliefs in myself that I maybe are questioned, but if you want to change the world, you got to put the time in. And that's, I guess, my motivation to show my kids that you have the ability to change the world, but it doesn't happen 4 hours a day. It doesn't happen in 8 hours a day. It doesn't happen in 12 hours a day. It happens 20 hours a day, day after day after day after day. And then when you have some money in your bank, you can slow down. That's how I look at it. And John, I think you're the same way, pal. You made some bank. You did a bunch of great things. You accumulated some wealth, and then you've been able to slow down. But you had to put the time in, Johnny Andersen.
100%. And one of the things I reminded myself along the way when they were younger was that, if they understood at that young age, then I was not doing the right job, because at that age, they're not going to understand what I'm trying to demonstrate and the habits that I'm trying to have them develop. Then all of a sudden they get to be like my middle daughter just went to the workforce, and she's now realizing how massively she separates herself from the pack because of the way I raised her. At the time, she was like, Dad, why do I got to do this? I said, honey, I promise you're going to understand. It's just going to be a matter of time. And all of a sudden, at about 21, Daddy started getting a little smarter.
Yes. But John, that's exactly it. And that's what I'm attempting to show my kids, which is one day they're going to recognize that they're going to want to move mountains as well. And moving mountains, as Adam said, is not easy. And to move mountains, to be the 1%, to be the 0.001%, Johnny Andersen, right? It's if you don't want to be like everybody else, you actively can't be like everybody else. You actively have to adopt habits that are unlike everybody else. And it's sacrifice in that. And that's, and along the way is going to be that collateral damage. So, and I guess that goes back to, how I reconcile my emotions with being a good dad. I keep telling myself, John and Marty, that I'm showing my kids dad's habits, and that one day my kids are going to go, okay, I see it. I get it. I get why dad was putting all that time in. He taught me all these great habits. And now I, as Piper, or I, as Carter, can move the needle.
You leaving some key stuff out too, Keith.
Tell me.
So you said that this is what I don't know. I don't want to put your business out there, but
no, do it. Please do. Let's talk about it.
You told me your kids saw the benefits of your hard work. Yeah. So that's part of the reason it drives you now, so they can see dad actually working hard. I think that's the only thing you probably left out, but I think that was key as well. No,
Marty, you're right, brother. I appreciate that. And I love you for that, Marty, because you're right. My kids saw the benefits of it all, right? So when Carter and Piper were at a certain age, they're like, okay, well, so this is the life that we have. Yeah, but you didn't see what it took to achieve it. Mm-hmm. Right. And I'll tell you guys right now, I purposely have reset life in the last couple of years because I wanted to teach them that to have the life that you want to have, God can work at it. Right. Is there money in the bank? Well, sure there is, but we haven't earned anything yet here, Marty. We haven't earned anything here yet. Right. Johnny.
Well, one of the things that I live by that I preach to my kids when they were younger, well, I preach to them all the time. It's something that'll never stop, is if you want the stuff that most people will never have, you got to be willing to do the stuff that most people will never do. Yes. And when you just put it down the line like that, and you look at the masses and, they're doing this, well, you pretty much know that you need to do this. And it comes down to you making a choice. I'm going to do more so I can become more.
Yes. Well, and Tina, I know you have something to say here too. I want to teach my children that you can achieve anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like John, like you don't get up on stage as an IFBB pro because you're just like putting in half-assed work.
Oh, brother, I'm telling you, it is 100%. If you want something bad enough and you're willing to make the sacrifice, it's not if, it's when.
It's true. I absolutely believe that. And I said to Piper and Carter, you can have anything you want, but you gotta have to put the work in. And there's going to be collateral damage along the way. You're probably going to lose friends. You're going to upset family. If you can deal with all that, you're going to be able to achieve anything you want to achieve in life. Christina Flynn.
So here's what I know. I know that bad dads, fathers that aren't great, don't think about the fact that they're not great. And they don't worry about the fact that they're not great. So the fact that you are sitting there and you are worried about it, by proxy means you're a good dad, because otherwise you wouldn't give a shit. What I also know as a mom is that I'm not perfect and I don't know anything. There's a lot of things, but I know some things. So what I'm going to try to do is teach you what I know in the moments that I know it, based on my own reflective journey of what I didn't have and what could have benefited me when I was growing up. But my parents didn't know everything then. Mm-hmm. So I'm not about pretending I know, and I'm not about telling my friends or telling my kids that I have the answers when I don't. If I don't have the answers, I don't have the answers. But if you're curious, let's go find it together and let's go figure that out together. So it's not about trying to be perfect. It's about trying to do your best in the moment that you're at.
What I've had to do as a dad, and John, I'm wondering if you've gone through this in your life, I've had to learn how to not compare myself as a dad to other dads. And I'm going to be honest again, I believe that's just my role here on this show as we invite, if we want to create a safe space to share with us, John, then we're going to keep sharing ourselves with others. I've had to learn awareness. I know comparison's a killer. I know that, I'm 52 years old, right? I've had to learn, my oldest is 17. So over the last, some odd years here, I've had to learn not to compare myself as a dad. John, did you ever struggle with that growing up?
When I was basically when I was raising my little ones, of course, you're taking them to school, you're meeting other families. And I quickly realized that, holy God, thank God I'm not like the other dads. Mm-hmm. And so I use that as okay, if my kids, start referencing that I'm like their friends' dads, I'm slipping.
Yeah. Yes.
Did they have dad bots?
It wasn't even about the dad bod. It was just about, granted, that was a side effect, yes, but it was the way they lived their lives. They came home after work that they didn't want to go to, and they laid their asses on the couch, or they didn't live a life that was inspiring. They didn't live a life that helped their kids understand how beautiful life can be. They were living a life. They were leading by example into a very narrow, boring, unfulfilled space, and that's what their kids were learning. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm taking my kids to Japan. I'm letting them watch me walk out, in front of 50,000 people in the Tokyo Dome. How many times my kids watch me pull a bus in some sort of a demo, and I needed to show them that they could do whatever they wanted by me doing it, not me telling them. The kids, they don't give a shit what you say. They care what you do.
Yes. Well, I could not agree more with you there, pal. And that's why I do what I do, because I can say everything I say, but when my kids come in and see dad putting the time in and they start seeing results, like, okay, I get it. But John, I want to come back to you, pal. Have you felt the need in your life to protect your daughters because of the career choices that you've made? Like, let's face it, Keith and Marty joke all the time. Not a lot of dads get on stage in skivvies to become an IFBB pro or to become a wrestler, to become a strongman. Like, in a group of 1,000, like, you're less of the 1%, right? So you got beautiful daughters. Did you feel as you were raising them this need to protect them and educate them because of what they were seeing dad did for a living? Because I got to think that you had a certain level of protection about that, Johnny.
Well, it was, I think probably where my line of protection came from was basically people finding out that I had kids, because then, so I kept them out of the public eye.
Yes.
It was like, when they came with me to different shows or different events, they were tucked away and out of the general, they weren't in general seating. And they would be basically brought backstage and brought into a room, and then I would go into the room. So I really protected them from, I guess you'd say the people that are just looking to cause trouble. I mean, my poor wife, goodness gracious, she of course was an adult. So like she would deal with stuff like, females would come up to her and say, so you're Jon Andersen's wife. And she'd say, yeah. And the lady would say, well, I'm his girlfriend. It's brutal, and, of course she would come to me and say, the first time she came to me and she said, listen to what just happened to me when I was, getting escorted back here, and I was like, I just kind of giggled and laughed because it was so far from being the truth. And I wasn't laughing at her, but I needed her to see that it was like, okay, this is so far off the beaten path. I almost can't even take it serious. But that's the kind of stuff as an adult, she could manage that. As a kid, I couldn't have my daughters exposed to whatever these idiots were going to do or say. So protection, yes. But what I also wanted them to see is that I wanted them to understand to go and do things that turned them on, so to speak. Go do the things that inspired them. And there were going to be some rough edges and some tough, the path wasn't going to be really smooth. And I needed them to recognize that to get wherever they wanted to go, that this is kind of the stuff they're going to have to manage. I just needed to, I guess a better way to put it was, I only really, if they were exposed to something that was I kept them from being exposed to something that would change their trajectory. I needed them to fall. I needed them to learn that they're going to take their lumps. I only got in the way if they were coming down so hard that impact was going to change the trajectory that I've been working so hard on to get to go in the right direction.
Yeah. I can't imagine some of the stuff you had to protect your daughters growing up with, like just, keeping that secrecy and working with Terry on that, because let's face it, the professions you chose were, people have opinions and perceptions and will say smack and say shit and most of it untrue.
They're
And
talking smack. You're on the right track.
Exactly.
I had to teach them that too. I said, look, your friend, whatever the name is, Julie's father. You don't ever hear anybody talk about Julie's father because he doesn't do anything outside the norm.
Yes.
And they only pick on the people that are stepping outside the box. So be glad that they're picking on dad, because, that means that dad is doing something that inspires him. But on that level, kind of funny, my middle daughter actually said to me when she went to middle school, right? So I used to drive my kids to school, pick them up. I love that, She said to me, she said, Daddy, I don't want you to take this the wrong way. But I don't want you to come to campus anymore, because it was getting to the point where even me dropping her off, it was obviously the way I look, the cars were dropping her off in. Yes. It was just like, she was so tired of defending me. It was just easier if I wasn't there. And I said, sweetheart, if this is what you want, I have zero problem. I don't take this the wrong way. I love you. And I will absolutely respect your wish.
That fascinates.
That's crazy, man.
So I had to literally, I would pick her up a block away from school because she left. That's where she was more comfortable with picking her up. Then, and high school came around. It was still a little bit in the beginning, but then all of a sudden people kind of started, your dad this, your dad does that. Next thing you know, it started turning in the right direction for him.
People are losers, man.
Yeah, that fascinates me though. And maybe one day when there's lots of comfort, like I just would love to sit down and talk to the daughters and like what was it like growing up with dad of Jon Andersen, right? Like it's like you hear people, like Marshall Mathers' daughter, or I was getting to know Colonel Angle a little bit, like his kids, right? Where I've watched some Instagram stuff where he's dropping his kids off at the school bus way down there, because I'm thinking the same thing with you, John. I'm not showing up at school in the G-Wagon or the Porsche and, my physique and my Versace glasses because people are looking at you, right? And right. And in some ways, John, I can relate because I with my peers, was not like any of the other dads as well. right?
Mhm.
Dressing differently, hanging out differently, doing things differently. And there's just, it's a whole different lifestyle. Adam comes in here in the feeds here. We can only do so much with the time we make. For me, it's a question of influence. Have I done enough to prepare my son for the real world? And John, you've talked about that with your daughters. Have I done everything you can?
Yeah.
And then Adam says, it worries me constantly where my daughter is the polar opposite. Top of her class, loves competition. It's tough. Yeah, when we have multiple kids, Adam, we're looking at all of them wondering,
they're all so different.
Pulling the levers, right? Pulling the levers. So, all right. So we're coming to the bottom of this conversation. I think we can probably extend this one, Christina, much deeper. Actually, and have some more people around the panel because it's there's no right or wrong answer with it, right? And it touches all of us, right? John had different experiences. I do. Marty's going to be. Adam's talked about his experience, and this one tugs on everybody's heartstrings here. This idea of expectations and fatherhood, and are we being a good father? Are we being a good parent? And those expectations that come with it. So another awesome show, team. 90 minutes in, we're wrapping it up. Adam House joined us here today. We started the show off with talking about the dude in Britain with the world's or Britain's biggest penis. Again, we're curious to know how somebody biggest penis in Britain. That's how we started the show, and we're finishing the show with being a great father. Christina, how was the show today?
Talk about a dichotomy. It was good show. It was a good show. Listen, we like to have fun. It's an interesting topic. I got empathy for the guy. It sounds like it's actually not a really great road. So I got empathy for the guy. And yeah, this is the type of topics that are going to come up in addition to, hey, I don't know if I'm being a good dad. And what does that look like? If those two things can come up in a show, that's the show I want to be a part of.
Exactly. The unpredictable show that starts every single day, 8:00 Eastern time on YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Mornings in the Lab with Keith Bilous, CMartyFit, Jon Andersen, and producer Christina Flynn. Like she said, we're helping you guys get your day going. Tune into the first 15 minutes. That's all I invite you to do. And if you like those first 15 minutes, I'm probably betting you're sticking around for the rest of the show because it's madness and unpredictability. Anderson, going around the table saying goodbye. What's going on today, brother?
Goodness gracious. I've got another fun day ahead of me. I'm going to go get some shoulders after this. I'm really excited about some client calls. It's just something about when I connect and I get to talk to my clients and I get to help them see things from a different perspective. It really lights my fire. So that's probably going to be the highlight of my day, other than having a really, really nice, enjoyable dinner with my wife.
Nice.
And
awesome.
we're gonna do a little traveling, so we're gonna go down to the coast. So that's gonna be fun too.
That's awesome. Marty, what's going on for you today, brother?
I got a big back day today.
Yeah.
Same as John. Got some more clients, and that's about it, man. Just chilling. Just another day.
That's awesome. Producer Flynn.
Oh, podcast tonight. Anybody? Podcast tonight.
Podcast. Go tune into See Marty's show here today. And Nation, you keep turning into Marty's show. One day you're going to be surprised because Anderson's going to be there. True story. Yeah, he doesn't even know himself who's going to be there, and neither do I. So we're all so keep tuning in, and then one day you're going to see the big boy there going, "Hey, there he is!" And that's going to be an awesome show that we all want to be a part of.
So to make John feel better, which I never, I don't like to brag, but I'm a good guy. I sprinkle some Jon Andersen clips on there. I had the Chipotle clip on there.
Oh.
I had a couple Jon Andersen, and then I'm gonna bring them on there.
Yeah.
But John doesn't. John doesn't think long term. He's just, I'm not on there yet.
I love it. I love it. Flynn, what's going on today?
John, it's about the journey to the show. It's not about being on the show. Okay?
There we go. I love that because it's the longer it takes for me to get on that show, I get to keep enjoying the journey of busting up Marty about not getting on the show. That's good. This is more enjoyable than being on the son of a bitch.
That's it.
So I'm gonna say this though too, John. My audience, my live audience, might be crazier than this one. So.
Yeah,
but I know you can ignore it. I know you can ignore it.
You ever been in the comments of my social media? Oh,
it's
baby.
Crazy. It's
crazy.
Man. Oh man. Good time. Thanks for tuning in today. Adam, thanks for tuning in today. Michelle O'Shea, thanks for tuning in today. I'm going to wrap up with this comment. Boys, This week we've been having some emotional vulnerability chats here. We're third day into it, and I wrapped up my day yesterday, and you guys both know I reached out to both you guys yesterday. I'm going to keep doing this. The feelings and emotion that I am having for you two guys grows every single day as I get to know both you guys, and I'm so appreciative of that. And I went to bed last night with a great sense of gratitude because of you, Jon Andersen, and you, Christopher Martin, and you, Christina Flynn, because you guys are making me better every single day. It's true. I'm noticing it. I go through my day and I think of things that you say, Anderson. I think of things that you say, Marty, and things that you say, Flynn, and it makes me better. So I'm hoping that people tuning in right now, we're doing the same thing for you. So we drop here. We got big plans here for the show, and we're going to keep doing it every single day, Monday to Friday, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Like it, comment on it, share it, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. We got a guest. Oh, we got a big guest tomorrow, Rich Ingram. If it all works out, Rich going to join us tomorrow. Rich is an accessibility athlete. John, Marty, you guys are going to be blown away by this dude. Was ended up in Iraq, lost his arm, was supposed to die. Instead, he's a superhero on a bike. He's a triathlete, and he is exceptionally awesome human being, man. So tomorrow's show is going to give nobody an effing excuse to not go achieve their biggest goals, because Rich Ingram is going to give you that motivation. So that's tomorrow's show. All right? Good time. Yes, sir. I appreciate you as well. We can't do the show with you showing up a good time, so I appreciate you as well. All right, guys, let's get out of here and go have some fun. Gonna go to work, rest, recovery day for me. I got some yoga. Johnny, I got some happy baby. You haven't been part of my happy baby conversation, so I'll have to. Marty loves those.
Christina, have you included Christina in it?
What is it?
Please
We
don't.
want to know, Christina. I want to know what is this? What are we talking about?
Well, we can make a group chat with them. Keep me out of it.
Yeah, so I'm going to. So Nation, I'll capture some Keith Bilous in happy baby pose for a show tomorrow, so Johnny Anderson can get a sense of Uncle Keith in the happy baby pose. Mornings in the lab, Monday to Friday, 8 o'clock Eastern time. You know where to find us, Johnny. I'm gonna share it with you, man. It's gonna blow you away. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Where's my sound effect? Oh, where the hell is it? I'm trying to get this thing going here, and there it is. See you guys.